Hello everyone! Welcome to today's video. Rick Harrison's son has just revealed why his father's life in prison is in danger. A terrifying secret threatens to take his life. Let's dive in and uncover it now. Get ready for a jaw-dropping revelation. Cory Harrison, son of Pawn Stars icon Rick Harrison, has exposed the chilling truth behind why his father's life in prison hangs by a thread. A sinister plot aims to silence Rick forever. Jump into this thrilling story and uncover the secrets that could bring everything crashing down. The horrifying truth about the danger threatening Rick Harrison in prison has just been revealed by his son, and it'll send shivers down your spine. What do you think of this conspiracy? Drop a comment with number 1 if you're speechless with shock, or number 0 if you suspected something all along. Hit like, share, and subscribe to stay in the loop for more explosive stories. In the icy gloom of Black Ridge Prison, where secrets are buried deeper than the steel walls, a deadly whisper changed everything. Chumley, once seen as the bumbling comic relief under the lights of Pawn Stars, was no longer the fool people thought he was. Behind the awkward smile and goofy jokes, he had glimpsed the darkness spreading within Rick Harrison's pawn empire. One evening, in a shadowy corner of the gold and silver pawn shop, as neon lights flickered outside on the Vegas Strip, Chumley pulled Cory Harrison aside. His voice trembled, but his tone was ice cold. "You need to tell your dad to shut up. If he says anything in prison, they'll tear him apart." Cory, still clinging to his image of Rick as a heroic father, just scoffed and shrugged, thinking Chumley was paranoid. But now, with Rick's blood staining the prison floor, that warning isn't just a sentence. It's a horrifying prophecy. The attack unfolded like a dance with death, orchestrated with chilling precision. In his isolated cell in Block F-112, where Rick thought he was safe, the darkness swallowed him whole. No screams, no struggle, only the faintest whimper as an invisible blade carved through his body. 3 stabs, each one a message. One to the lower back near the kidney, one to the right shoulder just inches from the lung, and the final cut, like a ruthless reminder, sliced across his left arm. These weren't warning wounds. They were meant to kill. When medics arrived, they found Rick curled up, blood pooling beneath him, hands clutching the edge of the bed in a desperate grip on life. Only one word left his mouth, barely a whisper, nearly lost to the void. Cory. What makes this attack even more terrifying is the eerie silence surrounding it. No witnesses, no working cameras. The prison's state-of-the-art surveillance system mysteriously failed at the exact moment of the incident. The weapon, a razor-sharp shard of melted plastic likely crafted inside the prison, was gone without a trace. The guards who should have been patrolling were nowhere to be found, occupied with sudden, unexplained emergencies. Too perfect, too clean, like a play choreographed by an invisible, powerful hand. Cory doesn't buy the coincidence. "This wasn't an attack," he shouted during an emotional interview, eyes burning with rage and grief. "This was a failed execution. Someone wanted my dad dead before he had the chance to speak." Cory Harrison is no longer the calm, easygoing guy who once stood behind the pawnshop counter, smiling at customers on national television. He's become a fighter, driven by fear, betrayal, and a burning determination to uncover the truth. Every day he sifts through his memories, trying to piece together the fragments of a shattered past. He recalls how Chumley used to avoid eye contact, the quiet moments when he'd slip out of the shop just as Rick was taking mysterious phone calls. Cory has started to suspect that Chumley didn't just know more than he let on. He may have been involved, even if only at the fringes of something much darker. Chumley's not an idiot, Cory whispered to a close friend. He saw something that scared him enough to disappear. The deeper Cory digs, the more disturbing the details become. 1 week before the attack, Rick had filed a request to be moved to a different cell, citing an unseen threat. The request was denied. A prison medic revealed that Rick had stopped eating, only drinking water, as if he knew someone was watching, waiting. And after the assault, a small folded piece of paper was found hidden inside Rick's mattress. On it, a list of names. No notes, no dates, just names. Some were familiar, tied to powerful figures across Nevada. Others were complete unknowns, like ghosts from an underworld Cory had never touched. That list, Cory said, voice shaking with fury, is the reason they want my dad dead. He knew too much and they couldn't let him live. A deadly secret endangering Rick Harrison in prison has been exposed by his son, leaving the world in shock. What's your take on this dark conspiracy? Leave a comment with number 2 if you're chilled to the bone, or number 5 if you had a bad feeling about this. Like, share, and subscribe now to catch more earth-shaking stories. But Cory's suspicions didn't stop with the inmates. He started questioning the prison itself. Why did the cameras fail at that exact moment? Why were the guards conveniently absent? An anonymous source from Black Ridge hinted that some prison staff may have been bribed, or worse, threatened, by an outside force. Then, late one night, Cory received an anonymous message. "Stop digging, or you're next." But instead of backing down, the threat only fueled his resolve. He hired a private investigative team, quietly gathered intel from former pawnshop employees, and contacted investigative journalists, laying the groundwork for a media firestorm. "If they think I'll stay quiet, they're dead wrong," Cory declared, eyes blazing. "I won't stop until the world knows the truth." The attack wasn't just a strike against Rick. It was a warning to anyone bold enough to challenge the criminal network behind him. But Cory is no longer the naive son who once believed in his father's polished image. He's plunging headfirst into a dangerous war, where every step forward could be his last. With each new clue, he feels the breath of an invisible enemy closing in. Will the list of names lead him to the heart of the criminal web? Is Chumley hiding somewhere in the shadows, holding the key to unlocking the truth? And will Rick, now lying motionless in the prison infirmary, wake in time to speak his final words before death returns to finish the job? The answers remain buried in darkness, but Cory Harrison is closer than ever, and he won't stop no matter the cost. The truth about Rick Harrison isn't just a stain on the shine of Pawn Stars. It's a black hole that swallows every ounce of trust, exposing a monster disguised as a father, husband, and beloved TV personality. Behind the glittering counters of the gold and silver pawn shop, where antiques were appraised and jokes echoed on primetime TV, lurks a grotesque machine of crime. Rick wasn't just buying gold or collecting vintage watches. He was running a brutal human trafficking ring, laundering millions through ghost accounts, and turning his store into an invisible prison for stolen souls. The evidence piled high like a mountain. Secret notebooks listing victims' names, sophisticated bank transactions funneled through shell corporations in the Cayman Islands and Panama, and bone-chilling testimonies from former employees who once trembled under Rick's manipulation. One employee, known only by the alias D. Lopez, handed over a trove of damning material to the FBI. Client lists, surveillance photos, and audio recordings of Rick's cold, calculated voice, referring to human beings as merchandise, bought and sold like any item in his shop. When the hammer of justice finally fell, Rick was no longer the pawn king of Las Vegas. He was the embodiment of depravity, sentenced to life in prison and locked away in the darkness of Black Ridge. Cory Harrison, the son who once looked up to his father as an icon, now stands in the ashes of his family's legacy, consumed by rage and grief. At first, he refused to believe it. The man who taught him how to appraise a diamond couldn't possibly be the mastermind of a criminal empire. "Not my dad," Cory whispered to himself as FBI agents tore through the shop, pulling incriminating documents from Rick's hidden safes. He clung to the hope that it was all a setup, his father framed by jealous rivals looking to destroy the Pawn Stars empire. But then the letters from hell started arriving. Dozens, hundreds, each one a knife to Cory's heart. A woman from Texas wrote about her sister, who vanished after taking a warehouse job with Rick, lured by promises of high pay, only to disappear forever. A man from Honduras told the story of his son, sent to work as a security guard, never to return. Then came the cryptic notes Cory found in his father's garage. Names, numbers, hand-drawn maps, details that matched the contents of the letters with terrifying precision. The truth hit him like a punch to the face. Rick wasn't just guilty. He was the architect of a monstrous network, a predator without remorse. Cory's fury ignited like hellfire. "He fooled the whole world," he screamed during a live interview, slamming his fist on the table, eyes bloodshot with rage. "He stood there laughing on national TV while innocent people were locked up, sold, murdered. That man wasn't my father. He was a goddamn monster." No love remained in Cory's heart for Rick. He erased every trace of Pawn Stars from his life, burned family photos, and sold off the prized memorabilia once displayed with pride. But the betrayal that haunted him most wasn't just his father's, it was his own. "I was there," he muttered, eyes hollow, staring into his bathroom mirror at 3 a.m. "Right there in the shop, and I saw nothing. How could I have been so blind?" That question became his torment, his obsession. He vowed never to let silence bury the truth again. With every new letter, every fresh clue unearthed, Cory transformed into a relentless hunter, determined to drag Rick's entire criminal network into the light, even if it cost him his life. In the eye of this storm, Chumley emerged as an unexpected enigma, a wild card no one saw coming. The man once dismissed as the bumbling clown of Pawn Stars turned out to have the sharpest eyes in the shadows. Chumley had noticed the signs: midnight meetings, shipments without invoices, strangers with steel-cold gazes slipping in and out of the shop. But more than just noticing, he was quietly gathering evidence. He once confronted Rick directly, questioning a second notebook hidden in the safe and the enormous sums of money flowing through anonymous accounts. Rick brushed him off and threatened him. "Keep your nose out of it, chum, or you'll end up dead." Terrified but unbroken, Chumleys secretly handed Cory a USB drive just before Rick's conviction, whispering, "If I go missing, or your dad does, get this to the press." After Rick's downfall, Chumley vanished like a ghost into the fog. Rumors flew. Some said he was hiding out in Utah. Others claimed he'd been kidnapped. But Cory believed otherwise. He believed Chumley was still out there, holding the secrets that could obliterate an entire criminal empire. "He didn't just warn me," Cory said, his voice trembling with awe and haunted respect. "He tried to save all of us, and now he might be paying the price." But Cory didn't stop. He reached out to investigative journalists, hired lawyers to decode Chumleys' USB, and even met with former FBI agents to trace the edges of Rick's dark network. Every step brought danger closer. Anonymous calls at midnight, unmarked cars parked outside his home, and one morning, a dagger stabbed into his front door with a note. "Stay quiet or die." Cory didn't flinch. "They want me scared," he said, gripping his fists until his knuckles turned white. "But I've lost everything. My family, my name, my faith. All I have left is the truth, and I'll bring it to light even if I have to burn the whole world down." Rick's crimes didn't end with him. The names on the list, the shell companies, the million-dollar wire transfers, they pointed to players far more powerful, sharks lurking in the depths. Thanks to Chumleys' clues, Cory was getting close, but each step forward felt like a blade pressed closer to his throat. In his rage and sorrow, Cory Harrison had become more than a victim of his father's sins. He was a burning spear of vengeance, ready to scorch everything in his path for justice. Chumley, whether hiding or silenced, remained the torchbearer, and the secrets he carried could change everything. But the question lingered. Would Cory expose the truth before the darkness swallowed him whole, just as it had tried to swallow Rick? The answer lay somewhere in the hidden corners of Las Vegas, where the neon lights never shine. The truth Cory Harrison risked his life to uncover wasn't just about his father Rick's atrocities. It was about a vast criminal web, an octopus of evil with tentacles stretching from the dazzling casinos of Las Vegas to the corridors of power in Washington, D.C. Chilling rumors spread like wildfire. Before Rick was stabbed in prison, he had met with a covert federal task force. Not the FBI, but something deeper in the shadows, rumored to operate under Homeland Security. Sources said Rick had agreed to name names, not just mid-level traffickers, but big players, congressmen, a real estate mogul, even a former Hollywood star who once guest-starred on Pawn Stars. A whispered voice from inside Black Ridge Prison claimed Rick had prepared a nuclear bomb. A detailed list of transactions, human cargo shipments, and hidden accounts tied to a global syndicate. Rick's stabbing, executed with surgical precision and wiped clean of all traces, wasn't just a warning. It was a declaration of war from those behind the curtain, those who would kill to protect their secrets. Worse still, whispers suggested the hit came from the outside, with help from guards on the inside and a surveillance blackout triggered by a dark web hacker. The mastermind, some said, was a powerful figure in Nevada, once Rick's close friend, now viewing him as a lethal liability. Cory lived inside a nightmare with no way out, a place where fear and guilt gnawed at his mind every second. He couldn't sleep, couldn't look in the mirror without seeing the disappointment in his own eyes. I was right there beside him, in the shop, in the house, and I saw nothing, he screamed during a closed-door meeting with investigative reporters, his voice cracking under the weight of rage and regret. He wondered if he had deliberately turned a blind eye, the late-night calls Rick took in his locked office, the nocturnal deliveries with armed guards, Chumley's panicked expression whenever Rick mentioned special investors. Cory felt he had not only betrayed himself, but also the nameless victims, people shackled in the shadows of the pawnshop empire. But that pain had now turned into fuel. He was no longer Cory Harrison of Pawn Stars, no longer the obedient son of a pawn king. He was a hunter, a lone warrior hell-bent on tearing down every wall to drag the truth into the light. "They think I'll quit, that I'll be afraid," he said coldly, gripping a thick stack of documents from Chumley's USB drive. "But I've lost everything, my family, my name, my life. All I have left is one mission: destroy the people who did this. Chumley's role in this storm had become more mysterious and vital than ever. He wasn't just a whistleblower, he was the key to the heart of the criminal network. Cory discovered that the USB didn't just contain files. It held a covertly recorded video from 2015, showing Rick meeting with a group of unknown men in an abandoned warehouse outside Las Vegas. One of them, Cory confirmed, was a notorious Mexican drug lord who was later assassinated under mysterious circumstances. It turned out Chumley had planted the camera himself after growing suspicious of Rick's shady dealings. "He wasn't the fool people thought he was," Cory whispered, eyes burning with a mix of reverence and grief. Chumley risked his life to get that footage, and now he may have paid the price. The rumors surrounding Chumley only added to the suffocating paranoia. Some claimed he was being held in a secret underground bunker in Utah. Others insisted he had been killed, his body buried somewhere in the Nevada desert. Then came a message that chilled Cory's blood. "Chumley talked too much. Don't make his mistake." Each day brought new threats. A slashed and bloodied doll left at his front door, fake blood sprayed across his garage with the words, "Stay silent or die." But instead of backing off, Cory dug deeper, determined not to let fear take hold. He connected with a former CIA operative who revealed that Rick's network might be tied to an international syndicate trafficking labor to illegal mines in South America. A leaked document from Chumley's USB even pointed to a $50 million deal routed through a Swiss bank, signed by a high-ranking official in the Nevada state government. Cory knew he was up against monsters powerful enough to strangle the entire justice system, but he had no way out. "If I stop now, all those who died, who disappeared, will never get justice," he declared, his voice trembling with iron resolve. Cory began working with an anonymous group of hackers, trying to crack the encrypted emails on the USB, messages that could expose even more high-profile names. The story of Rick Harrison wasn't just the fall of a TV star, it was a reflection of human corruption. How greed and power could twist a father into a monster. From those ashes, Cory was building a new legacy. Not one of fame, but one of truth. He knew the criminal network was still alive, that the shadows still held secrets, and that his father's death might only be the beginning. Would Cory survive long enough to expose them? Would Chumley reappear with the final pieces of the puzzle? The answer still hung in the air, like a razor-sharp knife in the dark. But the lesson was clearer than ever. The truth, no matter how painful, is the only thing that can break the chains of evil. And Cory, with a shattered heart but unbreakable will, was holding the torch to light that path, whether it led to salvation or the abyss. The story of the danger lurking around Rick Harrison in prison, revealed by his son, is a dark secret that keeps us glued to the screen. Will Cory manage to bring the truth to light before it's too late? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more shocking stories. Thank you, and see you next time.